Welcome to the last and most awaited session for the day. I hope you are enjoying the conference and meeting your peers at the comfort of your home. When it comes to digital transformation, the responsibility is shared with the organization C-suite leaders to bring transformation plans to actuality. In this interesting head-to-head discussion, we are going to have diverse leaders representing the HR, information, and transformation head perspective on what they think about who should own the digital transformation and how organizations can prepare for the uncertainties of future and thrive in today's world of work. To present this session, I am delighted to have with us Aamir Khalid Pirzada, CIO for Maadaniyah, Nouf Al Sowaidi, Group CHRO, the Oil and Gas Holding Company, Sanjeev Madavi, Group Chief Digital Transformation Officer, Khimji Ramdas. And to moderate the discussion, we have with us Stela Lupushor, Chief-Reframer, Reframe.Work Inc. Aamir is a versatile professional with more than 18 years of deep experience in the field of ERP, software project management, and IT infrastructure in various industries, including manufacturing, oil and gas, retail, public services, and telecommunications. Nouf comes with deep experience in HR across several industries, including the public sector, financial services, telecoms, and aviation. Prior to joining Noga Holding, Nouf has led HR for Gulf Air and Bahrain Mumtalakat Holding Company. Nouf also established and managed her own HR advisory, Right Size, which focused on helping clients set up the optimal organization to ensure continuous sustainability. Sanjeev has 2 decades of experience in setting up, operationalizing, and transforming businesses digitally. He is always strategizing future outcomes across his assignments to create and sustain an unparalleled competitive advantage in this new world order of a digital-based economy and customer experience management. Stela leads Reframe.Work and consult on how to create great workplaces and great work experience through the use of technology, human-centered design, people analytics, and future thinking. Welcome, Aamir, Nouf, Sanjeev, and Stela. We are extremely excited to have all of you.
Thrilled to be here.
Thank you, Leon.
And before passing on to Stela, I would request our audience to keep sharing your thoughts and insights on social media using the hashtag #ETHR-NexTechME. This might also make you win some exciting prizes, so do share your learnings. And without any further ado, let me pass on the frame to Stela. Over to you, Stela.
Thank you so much, Shashi, and thrilled to be here. It's such an important topic and it's such an exciting panel to have the conversation with. So let's go around the room virtually and please share a little bit about your role and how the past couple of years and everything we had to adjust as human beings over the past 2 years during the pandemic and changing world order, how that had an impact on you personally and on your role. So let's start with you, Nouf.
Thank you, Stela. So I'm quite new here at Noga Holding. I joined last October. However, I have seen the effect of the pandemic from my previous stints with Right Size and Gulf Air. I have to be honest, I found it to be a blessing in terms of finally arriving to the 21st century. You know how organizations, they like to put their money in the necessities, but you know, things like technology, AI, digital transformations are always, you know, the nice to have things that are that require huge investment, but are not quite urgent at the moment. And you know, we've been through a good number of years of cost consciousness where we did not invest so much. So the pandemic actually forced us to finally reach the 21st century by creating remote work opportunities, as well as the ability to collaborate with people across borders with the click of a button. So for me, really, yes, it has been a difficult time for all of us as well, and as HR professional for various reasons. But when it comes to technology, I think it really helped us accelerate our digital transformation or put it at the forefront of the agenda. So I'm grateful, to be honest.
Allows for so much flexibility. And I think it's not that it was a new development, it was just accelerating. So the pandemic and our shift to remote work really pushed that over the edge and finally gave opportunity to all of us to create a very new way of engaging with the workforce. So excellent. Sanjeev, what about you?
Thank you, Stella. I think it's wonderful to be here. My journey of the last 3 years, if I may say, pre-pandemic and post, I've sort of transitioned roles across the government sector, where I was part of the Ministry of Transportation in Oman, looking after the country's needs for the 2040 strategy. And from there, I transitioned back into the private sector, where I started leading the digital transformation agenda for a private group. Again, a 150-year-old group, a lot of cultural, I would say, history that we try to sort of incorporate as a matter of pride. And what actually brings a good flavor to that is that along with a 150-year-old history, now we're looking at setting ourselves for the future through digital transformation initiatives. And that, for me, I think probably sums up the story altogether. Organizations, big or small, new or old, as we see them, have had to sort of hyper scale up their ideas around how they can transform digitally. And it was absolutely a necessity. All of us saw the way the pandemic sort of created new segments, created barriers in otherwise, standard industries that all of us were so comfortable with. So I think the entire paradigm shift, I would say, the entire shift of the tectonic plates under our business structures, that I think for me has been one of the significant changes. More importantly, also to add to that is the change in the culture of the organization, the change in the mindset of the people. And I think that is, where we definitely see the next, I would say, challenge for us to harness. And I would call it an opportunity rather than a challenge, but it's a way to harness people, their ideas, and their zest, their innovation-based, motivation-based ideas in order to make the world a better place, hopefully driving the business further as well.
I love the fact that you already going into this role have the outlook for the 2040, what that world might look like. And I think when you start planning for that long range and try to have that view, it's relatively easier to start envisioning what the possibilities might be. And of course, technology is part of everything. So thrilled to have you and looking forward to diving deeper into these topics with you over the next half an hour that we have together. All right, Aamir.
So regarding this pandemic, yes, it is a difficult period for us, especially the last 2 years. A lot of shutdowns, stoppage in the businesses, but definitely the technology helped us and helped the businesses. And I think this pandemic period a bit positive way, because earlier, if you consider the prior pandemic area, the organizations and the management, they were not considering working from remote or working from home. They were thinking, no, it is compulsory to come on premises, offices to work from there. Anyhow, in the pandemic, people learned that the work can be carried on without being on premises. So this is one of the positive aspects, which I believe it's there for the organization and the management, especially to understand that people can work from their home and still the productivity can be there, right? So this is definitely a positive thing. Although all negative things were there, people, the whole world was facing that one. Definitely, I think after medical practitioners, the one the area or the software engineers, they performed wonderful work in this pandemic period, because the technologies, even today we have this remote meeting. It is all, and Zoom is more famous during this pandemic period, and this is all positive thing. I believe. And hopefully, as you said, coming to future 2040, maybe we have more and more work from remote and a lot of other things.
So the whole panel topic is really about untangling and figuring out who should own the digital transformation, right? So each one of you play slightly different roles. So I think it will be helpful for the audience to really understand how they are different and the role and impact each one of you have from the point of view of the digital transformation. So Aamir, since we had you, let's start with you. You are a CIO, right? So
Right.
naturally people would think that CIO may be the owner, but we'll see as we go through the whole panel whether that's
Right.
true and whether that's the only the home for the digital transformation. So describe a little bit more what the role of CIO, at least from your point of view, is in digital transformation, and what are some of the opportunities you see for making an impact?
Yep. This is before answering this question, I would say that since maybe your audience will be some non-IT people, so it will be good that if they can understood the background of the digital transformation, right?
All right.
So if you remember, in past, people used to, businesses especially used to kept their records on paper, right? Whether handwritings or handwritten ledgers, typed documents, right? All these kind of things they used to have. And if you are going to look for any information, you have to deal a lot of physical documents, right? That cause delay in communication and providing the necessary information to the management. But when the computer came in mainstream and business started converted all their manual records into digital files, and this digitalized information is helping the organization to get the information and share the information in an easier and a quicker way, then it leads us to a new era that is called basically digitalization, right? And that also shapes up the digital transformation. Now, considering the opportunities, something with the respect to the digital transformation, actually, I would say that digital transformation makes a rethinking of how an organization uses technology, people, processes to pursue new business models and new revenue streams that is driven by changes in customer expectations around products and services. For example, digitalization gave Netflix the ability not only to stream video content directly to their customer, but also gain unprecedented insight into viewing habits and preferences of their customers, right? So you can say digitalization or digital transformation can refer to anything from IT modernization, for example, cloud computing, to digital optimization, to the invention of new digital business model. However, due to rapid adoption of digital technology, IT organizations are facing new pressures such as spending on cloud, mobile apps, analytics, social technology. Therefore, digital transformation needs a strong leadership to drive the change. And here I would say that CIOs have an opportunity to drive help strategy, innovation, and revenue generation for the organizations. So whether the CIOs develop internal experts or collaborate the way businesses processes or executed across that organization, digital transformation provides an opportunity, a golden opportunity to the CIOs to lead and inspire, because CIOs investigates how the organization can use its technological capabilities, speed, and customer services to outperform rivals. This typically involves both developing a digital platform and adjusting the organization's operating mode. The main gap, I would say, as you mentioned, that the gaps which the main gap in digital transformation is actually uh, comes from the vision and mission of the organization. If top management is very clear about their vision and mission, then it gives worthful information to the CIOs so that they can develop a digital transformation roadmap that will help organization to achieve their goals in future. And the other thing, the gaps, which definitely having some significance important in digital transformation, is related with the technology and the adaptation of the right technology along with the right sort of skill in the organization or in any environment. So this is what I think about the role of the CIOs and digital transformation.
So in a way, the CIOs really were put in the spotlight and moved from, you have to build the infrastructure, you have to build the backbone of the organizational ways of operating, towards you have to delight the customer. You are kind of the leader that helps us transform how we go to market, how we engage with our consumers, how we create that experience, and how we become more efficient and optimized by using technology, analytics, and everything else you mentioned. So
right.
That's CIO. Now, Sanjeev, you are CDO, Chief Digital Transformation. You are responsible for, I'm assuming, you have key direct influence over the strategy. So how that differs between the CIO's role and the role that you're driving, and then when we think about the organizational alignment, where do you report into? How do you work with other stakeholders inside the organization and outside the organization? So give us kind of the landscape of what Chief Digital Officer looks like and what they do.
Right. I think before I may begin the I would say the detail on this, I'm reminded of one of the big statements that I recently heard, or I would say recently read, and this was from our management guru, Mr. Peter Drucker, and where he rightly said, "Tell me what you value, and I may believe you. But you show me your calendar and you show me your bank statement, and I will show you what you really value." So all in all, I think all we're trying to say is that resource allocation, basically money, time, and people, reflects your true strategy. It also reflects what you truly value. So all in all, when you say digital transformation as such, you're dealing with digital technology in general. Now, digital technology is in essence trying to create a playground, and information technology is the way you actually play the game for this. So when you look at digital transformation as an arena, and of course, this is something which I have been professing for the last 20 years, as I've been setting up newer business models and newer companies and organizations into newer business forays. So we always thought of it as business transformation for the last 20 years. Now it's suddenly changed from business transformation to digital transformation, the flavor of the season. But having said that, digital transformation in general has to include CIO. It includes the profile of a CTO or a technology officer. It also includes the profile of a chief data officer, and of course, chief strategy officer, because again, these four roles have to essentially amalgamate for you to bring together that techno-functional flavor. It's no longer the technology is good enough. You need to understand the business. And this has been, for, the last 4 or 5 decades. Everyone says, do you understand the business we are in? And as technology leaders, many times we lose focus on the basic modalities of what business is in. Every business is driven by revenue. Every business is driven by cost reductions. Every business is driven by profit enhancement. If these are the 3 pillars that you consider for digital transformation, then you can imagine how technology has to help, how information, as area has to help in there, how data will help you there, how will the CIO, the CDO, the CTO, as well as the chief strategy officer, all of them combined together are going to help on this. And if you were to believe it, I actually had the CIO for our organization report to me. So this was again a novel change for me, because as CDTO, you need to know the business, the function, the operational knowledge, along with the technology and the processes. And that is where you're trying to bring together the amalgamation of understanding of businesses, operations, functions, be it HR, be it audit, be it, marketing or finance, and combine that with technology. And that's what actually drives the big change for you. So the amalgamation of digital technology is essentially, for me, the focus of areas. And the heartening part that we now see post the pandemic is that now CIOs and CDTOs have a place on the board. So it's no longer that you are reporting within the organization to, say, a CFO or a CEO anymore. You have access directly to the board. I'm actually on the board where I can actually influence the decisions which are taken by the business, giving it a complete, I would say, thorough evaluation when it comes to business and technology focused, finally giving the right decision, or I would say at least the right recommendation, and I would say, channel in order to push the business forward in the right direction with the right, and hopefully with a cost-effective method. So it's definitely a play we see in digital transformation. It's evolving, and many of the roles are now coming into a functional as well as a technology, I would say, amalgamation. I think is the core change that we are seeing in recent years.
It's fascinating to think how digital became a necessity. It's a survival mechanism. And I think that the fact that there is presence on the board of directors, it's an indication of that, because it is pretty much everybody has to be a digital leader in order to have a chance of surviving in this economy and capture the market share. So it just interesting to observe the evolution of the role as well as the expansion and coordination. So it's now not only about the depth, but the breadth of the skills and expertise and ability to bring together the whole organization to go into the right direction. So Nouf, I would love to dive with you into the topic of human resources. We talked about digital resources, but you cannot do that without the humans. So from a CHRO perspective, what do you see the role of human resources playing in this? And then what is some of the impact that we should consider? Because there is obviously upskilling, there is culture change, there is change management that all has to be orchestrated, and HR really is playing the ultimate impact role in this conversation, in this transformation. So share a little bit more about your role and how that impacts the digital transformation.
Well, you are right. We are actually in the left, right, and center of this whole process. And I actually expected to hear my colleagues here mention CHRO as part of the process, but I can see how they just left it within the technical experts, but that's fine. I'm maybe in a unique position here because when I joined, obviously we're a very small team at the group, and we are currently studying the possibility of acting as one company. So coming into this role, I also handle to some degree IT as well as corporate communications. But corporate communications aside, one of the first things I did, not being in any shape or form an expert in anything digital, to be honest, was bring together the resources from across our main opcos, the biggest ones, which are Babco, our upstream, Tatweer, our upstream, Babco, our downstream, and then Banagas, which is our gas company. And put them together in a task force. We called it the ICT task force, and they represent the group in anything related to the digital transformation. We have a very aggressive transformation agenda, starting with the digital transformation. And I am very proud to be the sponsor for this task force here, because we believe that people are in the middle of it, and they are going to manage it. They have to be able to understand it and work with it. It is people who will be using this technology, the people who will be driving it. even the CIO and the CDO are people themselves.
Exactly.
But so I feel, and this is the way we're acting in this organization, that people are at the forefront. We design an organization and then put the technology to support it. We hire people and they are the users of this technology, and then our existing people will be upskilled because they are the users of this technology, and they're the ones who are going to become the stewards of this transformation. So in Noga Holding as well, our mandate is very clear. We want to transform the organization, but also become a responsible energy company. And we rely heavily on our chief digital officers or CIOs across the group to bring in the right technologies to support us. Sustainability is big on our agenda, and technology is going to also help us become a greener, let's say, entity. So yes, all respect to our colleagues. They are in their roles because they deserve it. I mean, I even wrote in my notes that the ownership really is the digital transformation is actually a marriage between CHRO and CIO. And my husband actually happens to be a CIO, which is beside the point. But it's actually when you put the two together, the combination becomes the technical and the soft aspect of the transformation, and it's really the building blocks for not only setting it up, because setting it up is not enough, but driving it forward and making the best use of it is where we are the biggest contributors.
And what you're pointing to is the fact that it's not really a destination, right? It's not like you transformed and then you're there. It's an ongoing thing. So it's a mindset that has to change across the whole organization to be able to not only embrace this innovation on a constant, on a continuous basis, and seek out for what's next, where it's going, how can we get to 2040, and continue to operate and continue to provide value. So I love how we're pretty much painting a puzzle and how it comes together, because it's technology, it is mindset, it is leadership, it is people, all of it that has an impact on digital transformation and has to be done holistically. So now that we understand each of your roles and the impact it has, let's debate who should own digital transformation. Nouf, since we started with you, let's end it with you. Let's start with you here too.
Well, I want to answer this question with a couple of other questions. So, who owns the strategy, or who owns the corporate culture? It's in each organization there are champions, drivers, and implementers. Yes, digital transformation definitely is highly technical and requires certain expertise. However, but if we're going to talk about ownership, I think it's all of us, and all of us sitting on in that boardroom are responsible for this, because we drive strategy, we lead people to adopt the strategy and embrace it, and we set the scene for the right culture that will put make this digital transformation the business as usual, let's say. So ownership, if you put ownership with just one person or one department, I think everybody will tend to rely on that department and hold them accountable. Whereas we are all accountable. I mean, they hire us for a reason, and it's not to give the responsibility to just one person. We should all be taking this responsibility, I think. That's
an inclusive thinking, and I love how holistic it is, because it indeed is everyone's business and it's everyone's responsibility. So Aamir, would you like to debate that? Do you have a different point of view on who should own it?
Not much. Actually, I agreed with she said rightly that it's not only the responsibility for technology related people. In fact, the functional people, CEOs and all other people, they all have to work together. Obviously, when people think about digital transformation, they think that they are going to deal with technology. Definitely, they give more weightage to the technology people for driving this digital transformation. But as I said earlier, that digital transformation, it is actually related with your with the organization vision and mission. So defining the vision and mission of organization, definitely the CEOs, CFOs, CHROs, all these people are included. That means all these, this is a combined effort. So if somebody says, okay, I am the ultimate owner of this digital transformation, you cannot say, yes, the CIOs or CTOs or CDOs, they can say, yes, we can help you out to drive the digital transformation as a team, right? But you have to define us with what is your vision? Where do you want to see yourself after 10 years, after 5 years? So this is a kind of information which you require from the functional people, like what CHRO or CFO, they are thinking about the technology and what kind of a technology they want to use in their department, right? So in 5 years and in 10 years or in short term, in a long term, what kind of a facility they want to provide to their employees, like self-services, sort of a platform, mobile apps, so many other things, right? And similarly, CFOs, they want to have analytics, more analytics on mobile apps and this kind of thing. So if you totally give it to ownership, some sort of a functional, one department related owner, domain owner, then he may think about, or he may focus only on the functionalities related to his department. For example, CFO, he will only think about his accounting and finance related information. If you give it to CHROs, they may focus. I'm not saying that they will always focus, but they may focus that, okay, what is my prime responsibility is to manage the human resource, right? So their focus may be over there. But CDOs or CTOs or CIOs, their focus is related, especially CTOs. If you choose CTO, that guy focus will remain on technology. They don't bother about that, how the information will flow. This is the job of a CIO. This is the job of the CDO, right? That how information should be flow in the organization, what technologies, what are the facilities, with respect related to the customers of the organizations, vendors. Like you take the example of all big organizations, they have involved their vendors, customers on their technology platforms. For example, in Saudi Arabia, one of the biggest companies, Aramco. So Aramco, they're involving their vendors through, and they need to have a cybersecurity certificate before being certified as a vendor of Aramco. So definitely, it's a combined effort, but weightage, I will definitely give it more to the technological people, right? Technology related people.
All right.
May I interject?
Yes.
So my experience anyway, across 7 organizations before I joined here, is IT always take my requirements and implement them the way they are. I have never seen a head of IT tell me, maybe you should do it better. You can do it better this way. So I will beg to differ. The end user, I won't say HR, but we want to do things more efficiently through technology, and technology helps us do that. And so we usually come with our requirements, considering that this process can be done more efficiently. Instead of paper, we can do it on systems, and this is why we come to our colleagues in the IT department. But I don't think the CIOs intervene very much in terms of how the process itself. because obviously we own our own processes, and you probably don't have the details of it or why they happen in a certain way and all that. So I mean, this is just my objection for the day.
I love that. This is getting heated.
No, I think you misunderstood over here. I did not say that we intervene in the domains of others. We actually facilitates and helps others to work more efficiently in their own domains.
Yes, and we're very grateful for it.
So definitely it's a combined effort, but I give more weightage because you are related with the, you are dealing with the technology. If you are dealing with the technology, the bread makers are womb. The bread makers are basically technology people.
True. I'm actually, we just hired, I'm sorry, Sanjeev, we're not giving you a chance, but I just hired someone to head our IT
I'll wait my
department.
turn anyways, yeah. So.
I just hired someone to head our IT department very recently, just a few weeks ago. And I liked his approach in terms of enabling us, the users, to use technology in the best way possible. So he's teaching us now how to utilize the Microsoft AI tools, and how to develop our own processes, and how the tools that are available can actually make our lives easier. And then, we feel actually empowered now to, we feel a little bit more technologically savvy than a few weeks ago, to be honest. So I think this is kind of the way CIOs should view their job is to enable the users to become technical experts in their own rights, I suppose.
What's interesting in this debate is the difference in approach, right? Traditionally, you'd have technology and you deploy it to enable a process. Nouf, what you're talking about is we have to bring that human-centric lens, what it's like to be an individual, a worker, a professional in this value creation, and how technology can make you be better at what you do. So it's a slightly different lens, and that requires not only different kinds of skills, but also more attunement to the experience as opposed to just the technology abilities. I love this. So Sanjeev, finally, we're getting to you. One would hope that Chief Digital Transformation leaders should own it. Is that true? Have you been convinced by Nouf? Maybe that's slightly different? Tell us.
I think that there are two sides to the story here, Stella. Is the expectation. And I may say expectations are rife. And I may actually begin by just trying to take a jibe at Nouf by saying that technology and HR are usually at loggerheads. And please take my comment with a bit of a salt, because again, technology is always trying to automate. Technology is trying to remove the human intervention in any, I would say, process or business. HR is again trying to reinforce people. So unfortunately, at least at the start of the new sort of, people used to always look at HR trying to bring people on board and technology trying to remove people from the equation. Luckily, now after 2 decades, actually arrived at some kind of, I would say, a compromise where both the CHRO and the CDTO, the CIO, the chief strategy, as well as the chief finance, all have amalgamated their roles with a lot of technology. And of course, the kind of advent that all of us have gone through in terms of learning technology at home, right, for our personal, and how that has actually infiltrated into office. Facebook, social media, I would say collaboration, email collaboration, and video collaboration tools, I think have really, really spurred up our application. And today, whether you are a CFO or a CHRO or a chief marketing officer, there is a significant amount of technology ecosystem landscape that you're dealing with. All said and done, for me, that I think is the shift in the focus, if I may say so. But of course, it is a movement. The top of the mind is always, as you mentioned, we are trying to bring people. You need to do what exactly I tell you. I'm the end user, and you need to tell me what is the right way forward. And very rightfully so. So my take on this is that digital transformation basically comprises of 5 different areas, at least for the sake of an argument. We have technology, we have data, we have people, then we have processes, and then what we constitute as organizational change management, as what we kind of call it. Now, change management is for all of us the evergreen field. We are all trying to resist change, or we are trying to advocate change. We will be on one side or the other. So stakeholder engagement, operational excellence ideas, technological excellence, HR excellence, human-centric environments. All of these are something which are now inherent. What has also happened in the last, I would say, 2 decades is that there is a lot of emphasis on governance. So governance on processes, governance on data. Now, data is where now we come to the crux of the entire transformation exercise. We are all here gathering information as we work in our daily routine. We gather information, data, as we may call it. That information or data has to be turned into an insight. That insight has to actually help you with your business decision-making process. And all in all, the expectation of technology or IT is in terms of aid. So we are now looking at the same idea together. At times, of course, we've always had issues in terms of trying to capture eyes, and whether you're looking at employee productivity per hour or whether it is employee productivity by a certain software use, the KPIs have always differed. All in all, I think our performance criteria are now also together. So in terms of digital transformation as an arena, we always try to look at the holistic aspect through 5 different lenses. We have, of course, the people, we have data, we have processes, and we have what we call as organizational change. And I think these 5 aspects are what digital transformation essentially entails. Again, this cannot be the domain of one specific function or one specific arena. And while, like I was mentioning before, of the last 2 decades, the kind of, I would say, involvement, learning that happened with most of the executives, it has been phenomenal. So not only that you have been exposed to technology on your home front, and that actually has sort of percolated into your work atmosphere as well. So all in all, we now realize everyone within the organization has a bit of a technology flair, a bit of a technology flavor to what they bring to the table today. I have seen many conversations with our chief HR officer, our chief finance officer, and chief marketing officer talking about how automation should be brought in and how exactly we want to bring chatbots as well as many of these new age emerging technologies. And that actually tells you the story of the new decade. Technology now is completely here to stay, and everyone is adopting it as quickly as they can. And while this is leading to a lot of rapid change, again, we have to make sure that the organizational strategy, the vision, is aligned to this. Again, because one of the ideas which I mentioned before was that HR and technology usually are always looking at dichotomous angles. One is where you're trying to onboard people, and many a times the claim is that technology tries to reduce people through automation. But again, if we try to work together, this is where we are trying to look at newer ways of talent management, talent onboarding. We have to necessarily look at ambidextrous professionals, people who are not concentrating on one particular arena, but they bring that level of breadth across the business, be it operation, be it HR, be it finance, be it marketing, as well as depth in certain areas. So if you have had exposure to sales or distribution or HR specifically, you can understand the processes much better, and you can actually talk the language of the business partners, exactly talking about how employee productivity can be improved through an attendance system, or how ratios can be amalgamated using technology focus and triangle of transformation in terms of revenue generation, or again, cost focus, or in terms of cost reductions or profit bearing ideas. So the innovation today is all about how everyone works together. So I am completely in agreement with our panel, where they say that this is not a role relegated to a particular function. There will be coordinators, and the coordinators can emerge from any particular arena. Even this chief HR officer, in many cases, can actually start leading this entire digital transformation, I would say, journey. for an organization. This is where CIOs and CFOs and CMOs, including CEOs, will be supporting that agenda driven by the right individual.
Excellent. What the other thing that you're also bringing up is the responsibility each one of these leaders have in terms of using the technology, using the data and insights that comes from all the access to the information that we have to do it responsibly, to do it transparently, to do it in a way that does not perpetuate the biases, that does not negatively impact the human well-being in the process. So it's a collective mission for everyone to pursue. So we can have probably a whole day discussion about this because there's so much depth and knowledge and kind of perspectives. But let's start wrapping up this conversation with one last question. What is it that, if you had the time machine, or if you had the ability to start over your digital transformation, what would be one thing that you would change? And the whole idea is no one has the textbook, no one has the recipe. Everybody is on a journey and they're writing that script every day anew. And I'm sure there are a lot of lessons that you've accumulated over time. So what would be one thing that you would change if you had the opportunity to start over? Aamir, let's start with you.
In my opinion, I would like to change the environment, right? So people can understand that digital transformation is a collaborative effort for all of us. It's not just the IT who will bring the change in the organization. We also have to change as per the technology. This would be my preference to change it. The way people think, the way people take, because definitely technology, we are right now only discussing with the prospects of organization, but technology does not have any boundary. Even technology has affected largely our social life, our education system. Everything has changed. So people have to change their vision and think and thoughts about the technology. It should not be for a short-term sort of aims or goals. It should be considered as part of their life. Like it's a necessity of life. The Wi-Fi is a necessity of life, right? So wherever you go first, now the first question you people ask, do you have Wi-Fi, right? So if you're talking about the Wi-Fi, that means you're dealing with the technology. And so people have to change the way they are thinking, especially within the organization, the management and everything. They should not think that IT is a kind of a department where we always have to put money. There is no revenue generation from there. But in fact, the return of investment in IT is the highest compared to the other departments. So this is the change I would like to have in the organization.
So it's mindset. All right. What about you, Sanjeev? What would you change if you had the opportunity to start over?
Stella, I think one of the realizations which has dawned on me, probably after spending almost 10 years in business, is the fact that as technology leaders, we are very focused on our agenda, but that also sort of gives us a very a tunnel vision in terms of what we are trying to achieve. We are all looking at trying to streamline, standardize processes, and as well as automate them. But having said that, I think the one element of technology leaders that I have been professing very strongly for the last 10 years is the fact that our understanding of fundamental business values, fundamental business parameters of success has been always, I would say, relegated to the fact that technology is implemented, it's live, and it's kicking. But we have to now move beyond that. We have to always look at what input turns through processing into an output, but look at the outcome that is achieved from that output. If you have implemented a system, how did that system drive change? Did it bring new revenue? Did it help you reduce expenses, profitability? Those are the outcomes which technology leaders need to profess. And this is where, for example, the idea of a CHRO coming into the play to showcase what talent we need to onboard, what kind of mindset, what kind of cultures we need to inculcate within the organization becomes extremely, extremely important. The kind of people mindset that come to the organization, I think for me is the very, I would say, pure driving force of an organization. And I think this is where I would definitely want to sort of close or sum up my idea by saying people are always going to drive organizations. We have to keep them in the center, but of course, they need to know technology as well.
So you're saying the CHRO will drive the digital transformation. Is that what you're saying?
You can take a shot, Nouf. It's everyone's agenda.
To do it.
So, Nouf, we heard about the mindset, we heard impact. As a chief people officer, what would be your one change that you would do?
Okay, so we're at the very, very early stages of our digital transformation here. So maybe I wouldn't want a time machine, but a magic wand, because what I would like to do is kind of just press the delete button on all the systems that we have or don't have and bring in completely new technology, the latest, the most state-of-the-art technology, and just start over. Cost is a big issue when it comes to investment in technology. Obviously, it's a huge investment, and so we're already talking about, let's build on what we have. So yes, we do have some good systems in place. How can we use them better, and how can we enhance them or get an upgrade or what have you? But they still remain legacy systems, and if it were up to me, I would scrap them and start fresh. I don't think this is in the reality of I think even in my colleagues, I don't think this is something that is even an option anywhere. But yeah, this is where I am.
And it requires everything that was said previously, right? You really need to have a mindset and appreciate that there's so much innovation happening. And by taking the or having the courage to replace something, you can have a significant impact in a very fast way. So I love the conversation. I really love the different perspectives, and I love the debate. I think this is really the way it's supposed to happen inside each organization. You have to bring everybody together to have that inclusive conversation to come up with the best solution for the organization. So thank you so much. It was such a delight to speak with all of you. And Shashi, back to you.
Thank you, Stella. What an amazing session. Thank you so much, Aamir, Sanjeev, Nouf, for sharing your thoughts and experiences. So many diverse perspectives. I personally just love this. And thank you, Stella, for moderating it so beautifully. I'm sure our audience had also a lot of takeaways from this session. Thank you once again to all of you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure. Thanks again.
Thank you to everybody.
Great. And with this, it's time to wrap up day one of the Economic Times NexTech Middle East HR Summit. Do join us for the closing address by Yasmin Taj from the Economic Times. And let's hear how was our day one and what's in store for tomorrow. Thank you.